Welcome to Words of Ex-Mormon today. I am kind of going off the cuff on this one a little bit. It's a kind of improvisation a little bit, just kind of, I don't have notes or anything. I just kind of want to talk about something. I recently have had a lot of situations just with kind of like my new phase in life, where I'm at, and how I'm living my life. There's a lot of times where I've had to set some boundaries. And the thing is, and I'll get there. I had a discussion with one of my friends who I was kind of venting to, and she is a never Mormon, so she doesn't have any skin in the game or anything like that. But I was telling her about some of the situations that had bothered me, and places where I had set boundaries and places where I intend to set some boundaries due to expectations of me, expectations of my children, expectations that other people have of our behaviors. And they're so arbitrary. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not being bad people. We're not going into people's homes or into people's spaces and behaving badly. It's just that, we might wear a tank top, and there might be somebody who is like, that's just not appropriate, or like a midriff or something like that, where they're just like, you're wearing that now? Like, it's just such inconsequential stuff. Like, if I am carrying a chai, I don't drink coffee, but like my husband does and my daughter does, and they might have a coffee or a chai or something like that, and we still try to be respectful. That there are still people who will kind of look at us sideways and be sneery and stuff like that about it, and snooty about, like, we're not going in places and being like, we can just steal things because we don't have any morals, or we can just, we're not going in places and dropping the F-bomb all over the place. Like, there's a time and place, and we know our audience and stuff. And, but again, like, super arbitrary things. And I'm not going to go into super details about like where I'm setting boundaries or like out these people per se. But I'm doing it. I'm doing those things, and it's really difficult for me. And I was telling my friend about this, and she was like, you are a totally different Bray. You are not the same Bray that you were even a year ago, let alone, when we were kids growing up. I've known this person forever. And so, and it's true. And I've been thinking about it. I am not the same Bray. I'm not myself. I'm myself. Let me clarify. I am myself. I am not the same person, same front that I always put forward for people to see, because I was following rules and I was obedient, and some rules are great rules. Some rules are there for people's protection, and some rules are just really stupid and really unnecessary. And the thing is, on another thread, like in a group chat somewhere with some ex-Mormons that I know, there was a person who was in this group who is never Mormon, but she was trying to understand her husband, who is an ex-Mormon who she had recently married, and she's like, I just don't understand these things. And we were trying to explain to her that Mormons, from the day we are born or the day we are converted, and it's especially difficult from for people who are born into the church, because this is a lifestyle. We don't know that there's anything different. We don't know there's anything wrong. I think a lot of converts recognize the brainwashing and the inconsistencies and stuff a little bit easier. I don't know. I wasn't a convert. I was born into the church. So we are taught from the very, very first day we are born that you cannot ever say no. You cannot say no to callings. You cannot say no to your leaders. You cannot disagree with your leaders. You cannot disobey. You can never be disobedient. You cannot ever have a different revelation or different opinion or anything from your church leaders. And so there are a lot of us who really struggle with that boundary setting and with being able to speak out. It's very, like I said, these boundary settings are extremely difficult for me. I was raised to be a perfect Mormon girl. I don't know if, and I'm not going to get this right because, like I said, I'm going off the cuff on this. I don't have any notes. I didn't look anything up. I'm just talking about how I feel. If you've ever read The Great Gatsby, which is a fantastic book, there is a little girl in it. I don't remember her name. She's Daisy's daughter. And Daisy at some point looks at this sweet, beautiful little girl and hopes that she grows up to be beautiful and stupid. And that's a commentary of the time. The 1920s, women had no rights, but if they could be beautiful and behave in a way that was just, they could not give off the vibe that they were smart in any way, then the men wouldn't be intimidated by them. They'd be married and then they would be taken care of, because the alternative at the time was that women just could not legally or financially actually take care of themselves. And so her wish for her daughter was just that she would grow up to be a beautiful, stupid person. If you have that quote, I apologize if I'm butchering, because I didn't quote it at all. But that's kind of what I feel like I was raised to be, not deliberately by my parents, specific, like anything like that, just that overall in the church, there's this overarching theme that that's what women are for. We're there to be beautiful and to be obedient and to not have any of our own opinions and any of our own needs or anything like that. And because you're raised that way, that you cannot disagree and you can't disobey and you can't step out of line and you can't be different and you can't be unique and you can't, do anything that would be contrary to the church or your leadership or your direct line of priesthood, there's a lot of difficulty for any of us to put our foot down, to set boundaries for ourselves, to have healthy disagreements and interactions, because usually we break down, we shut down. We're people pleasers. We just, and it makes me digress too. So whatever strides that I've made with other people who have respected my boundaries and that it's been positive, and any progress that I've made when I have another interaction with somebody who doesn't respect my boundaries or who doesn't or who is aggressive toward me in regards to my beliefs or my parenting at this point. There's a lot of idea that the church has a monopoly on good kids. So therefore, I'm not Mormon anymore, so I'm not teaching my kids good things anymore. And so there's a lot of that goes around, that's going around now for me and my husband. And so, those kinds of things, when it's not somebody that I have been able to confront successfully, it becomes very, very scary to me and very intimidating. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal that my friend said to me, "You're not the same Bray," because I'm not. And I think I'm growing and I think I'm better. And I also think, this is one of the reasons that ex-Mormons take so long to deconstruct and why we can't leave the church alone, because we can't just go out into the world and be normal. We have to address these things. We have to learn how to set our boundaries. I posted something a couple of, like last week sometime, and it was something about how this is persecution. This is not persecution. I am going to address that directly, but every single comment on there was about how, yeah, you don't get to tell somebody when they're being persecuted or not. Look, I'm sorry, but if that's true, then you're persecuting me. Like, not you directly, like the royal you, the royal you, in the sense that those people who continually come to my page and tell me you can leave the church, but you can't leave it alone, or you're following Satan, you're under the influence of Satan, you're a bad parent because you can't teach your kids values or anything like that. It works the same way. I am not actively going into anybody's house, and if I am saying, look, you don't get to tell my kids what to do, or like give them arbitrary lessons because you think for some reason, because I'm not Mormon anymore, that I am not teaching my kids what you think I should teach them, or you don't get to do those things. That's not persecution, that's a boundary. And they're saying, no, that's persecution, you don't get to tell me I'm not being persecuted. Well, it works two ways, and in that sense, I don't really think I'm being persecuted. I think it's super annoying, but I'm not being persecuted. But like, how stupid does that sound? It's pretty stupid to say, well, you're persecuting me because I don't want to close my eyes and fold my arms for the prayer. I'm fine if you do it. I don't want to fold my arms and close my eyes for the prayer. So don't stand there and wait for me to do it when we're saying a prayer at a family gathering, that kind of a thing. Like, I'm not causing the scene, it's just an example, but that's they're going to call that persecution just because I'm not doing what they want me to do. And I'm sorry, but you don't get to control me anymore. And that's kind of where I'm at with this right now, with these boundaries and with not being the same Bray. I'm the same Bray. I'm the same, I'm myself. I'm a more authentic self. I'm a more authentic me. I am never going to be the kind of person who confronts somebody for the sake of drama. I'm not going to ever be the kind of person who hurts a person's feelings or does something specifically to set them off or make them mad. But I am allowed to have the things for myself that are comfortable for me as well. It's not a persecution on you. And I just frankly am at the point where if you aren't going to respect my boundaries for myself and for my kids, and you're not going to respect my children's boundaries and what is good for them, then you don't have a place in our life anymore. And that is not a threat. It's a warning, because I'm not trying to threaten anybody. I'm just saying that this is the way it has to go. And sometimes we may not be in the life or vicinity of people who are not going to treat us with the respect that we deserve. Anyway, I don't know. That was totally off the cuff, totally off the top of my head. Just something I've been thinking about. If you sat through that, and hopefully it made sense and everything, but I needed to get that off my chest. But thank you so much. If you have anything you'd like to say anonymously, you can send me an email at brae, BRAE.wordsofexmormon@gmail.com. Please leave a comment. Please like, share, follow. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.